one and all. This is the web series program of Kuvempu Bhasha Bharati Pradhikara to non-Kannadigas to introduce eminent scholars of Kannada and vice versa. Kuvempu Bhasha Bharati Pradhikara has been conducting series of programs. This is the 10th serial. So this program is organized to introduce eminent scholars of Kannada to non-Kannadigas. And now Professor Udayakumar Habbu is introducing Girish Karnad, Jnanapita laureate, writer of Kannada, to the audience of Kannada and non-Kannadigas, and non-Kannadigas of Karnataka and non-Kannadigas of other parts of the world. So Udayakumar Habbu is from Kinnigoli, South Canara. He is the retired principal of PU College, Kinnigoli, and he has served 34 years of academic caliber, and he is a eminent writer and also a thinker. He has written so many books on Kannada. Some of these are Bittanendare Bidadi Maye, Vidura Parva, Dronalavya. These are the novels, and some critical books about books are Pustaka Preeti, Modala Kallu, Devanuru Mahadevara Kategalu, Kadambarigalu, ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆ, ಜಂಬು ಜೋಂಕಿಣಿ, Kavita, and his poetry collections are Anveshane, Rathotsava, Nannade Akasha, Nannade Rekke, and his research books are Natapanta, Siddhantagalu, Mattu Acharanagalu, ಬುದ್ಧತ್ವ ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದೇ ದಾರಿ, ವಿಪಶ್ಯನ ಅರಿವಿನ ದಾರಿ, ಭಗವಾನ್ ಬುದ್ಧ ಬದುಕು ಮತ್ತು ಬೋಧನೆಗಳು, ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತು ತತ್ವಗಳು, ಶೂನ್ಯತೆಯ ಶೂನ್ಯತೆ, ಚಂದ್ರಕೀರ್ತಿ ಮತ್ತು ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ ಒಂದು ತಾತ್ವಿಕ ಅನುಸಂಧಾನ, ಬೌದ್ಧ ಧ್ಯಾನ, ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಒತ್ತಡಗಳಿಗೆ ನಿವಾರಣೆ, ಅಂಗುತ್ತರ ನಿಕಾಯ ತಿಕಣಿ ಪಾತಳಿ, and translated poem of Rumi poetry, ಬಸವಣ್ಣ ಮತ್ತು ನಾರಾಯಣ ಗುರು comparative studies, ಬಸವಣ್ಣ ಮತ್ತು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷಿಯಸ್, this is also a comparative study, ಬಸವಣ್ಣ ಮತ್ತು ಜಾಗತಿಕ ದರ್ಶನಗಳು, this is also a comparative study, ಪ್ರಾಚೀನ ಭಾರತೀಯ ತತ್ವದರ್ಶನಗಳು, ಯೋಗ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರ, ವಾಸು ಪೆಂಗುಶುಯಿ, ಕಪ್ಪು ದೇವತೆ, is a novel, and some short stories, ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳು, ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳು, ಬಿಳಿಕಾಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇತರ ಕಥೆಗಳು, ಮುಸ್ಸಂಜೆಯ ಕಥೆಗಳು. Some other books, ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಜೀವನದ ರಹಸ್ಯ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಣ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ, and literature for children, ಕಪ್ಪೆ ರಾಜಕುಮಾರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಇತರ ಕಥೆಗಳು, ಲುಂಡೀರಿಯಾ, and folklore books on ಭೂಮಿಯ ಸುತ್ತ, ಈಶಾನ್ಯ ಗಡಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳ ಜಾನಪದ ಕಥೆಗಳು. So these are his main books. As I told earlier, Girish Karnad is eminent writer of Kannada. He is an international figure in this sense. So now I am requesting Udayakumar Habbu to deliver his speech about Girish Karnad. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, viewers. Today I am going to speak on Girish Karnad. You know very well that he was a film actor, film director, and mainly a playwright. And he was born in Mathiran village in Maharashtra in 1938, 29th May. His father was Dr. Raghunath Karnad. His mother was Krishna Bai. You know, Krishna Bai was a widow. She had a son of 5 years old called as Vasant. And after the death of her husband, Krishna Bai, mother of Krish Karnad, went to Mumbai. There she met Dr. Raghunath Karnad. And at that time, Raghunath Karnad's wife was ailing, suffering from illness. And Raghunath Karnad appointed her as a nurse. So, Dr. Raghunath Karnad was a practicing medical practitioner. And after the death of his wife, Dr. Raghunath Karnad married Krishna Bai. You know, marrying a widow in those days was a taboo, and there was social boycott, and he earned the wrath of his community. Just like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who had to suffer because of untouchability. So also, Karnad's family had to undergo all the torture because of this untraditional marriage in those times. And it's not a surprise if Krish Karnad becomes a progressive thinker because of the family background. You must know about his family background where his mother was a widow and it's the widow marriage. And Krish Karnad had his primary education in Sirsi. Perhaps his family might have shifted to Sirsi in Uttara Kannada. And as a primary school boy, he had no avenues for entertainment like today's cinema or mobile or TV. So he had to resort to Yakshigana performances and company dramas. Girish Karnad as a boy saw company dramas and Yakshigana performances. So he developed an interest in drama. Then perhaps his family might have shifted to Dharwad. And he finished his high school education in Basal Mission, Dharwad. And after that, he went to Karnataka Arts College, did his degree in maths and statistics. And fortunately, he got a Rhodes Scholarship of Oxford. And when he got the Rhodes Scholarship, he went to Oxford and he studied there and returned to India. And when he returned to India, he joined Oxford University Press as an editor. And he did not want to stay there. He served for 7 years in Oxford University Press as an editor. Then he resigned for a job, he quit the job and came back to Dharwad and started writing plays. And he wrote his first play, Yayati, in 1961. That is, he wrote it before he went to London. And he wrote Tagalog in 1964 when he returned from London. So, his career as a playwright started from his childhood. And his cinema career, I would like to say, as a cinema career, you must have known about his acting in Samskara as a Praneshacharya, is well known. After that, he directed S.L. Bhairav's Bhaushu Raksha. That is a film based upon his novel, S.L. Bhairav's novel, Bhaushu Raksha, along with B.V. Karan. And afterwards, he directed Tabbali Neenaada Magane, Ondanadu Kaladalli, Kaadu. These are the very famous films he directed, and for which he won various national, international awards. And also, he directed a film called as Cheluvi. Cheluvi, a film on environment destruction. And also he took up Kuempu's novel, that is Kanuru Subhamma Hegadati, and directed the film called as Kanuru Hegadati in 1999. That film also won various national and international awards. Then he directed documentary films on Kanaka Purandara, Tara Bendre, and Nathapanta. So, he acted in many films, and also he acted not only in Canada as a cinema actor, but also in Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. And he directed a film in Hindi known as Utsava Godhud. Utsava Godhud is a cinema in Hindi which he directed. And he also wrote story along with Agni Sridhar for a film. Adinagaru. Maybe a story or a life of Agni Sridhar. And he wrote, he directed, he wrote a story on that. And they won many national international awards. He won Jnanapita Award in 1998. He won several awards like Padma Shri, Padma Bhushana, and Kendra Natak and Sangeet Academy Award, and also Rajyotsav Award, honorary doctorate for contribution to cinema, and Viran, then Guppi Virenna Prashasti, and Kalidasa Samman, and Tata Literature Life Award for his cinema contribution in 2017. And also even Dr. T.M.A. Pai's Company Achievers Award. He died on 10th June 2019. This is about his life. And he married Dr. Saraswati, who is the daughter of a Kodava parents. And now they had 3 children with the family. And yes. Then I would like to speak, as I told you, I have told you everything about his childhood and his life and achievement as a cinema director and an actor. And now I would like to speak about his plays. His plays are characterized by modernity and contemporariness. That is the main quality of him. His rise as a playwright in 1960 marked the coming of age of modern Indian plays in Canada. Just as Badal Sarkar in Bengal and Vijay Tendulkar in Marathi and Mohan Rakesh in Hindi. He drew his raw materials for his dramas from history, mythology, and folklore. And he made all the old stories at once modern, appealing to modern sentiment, modern life, modern culture. Okay. And some of his plays can also be called as socio-psychological plays to deal with the mind of man, the duality of man, the two personality of man. So he wrote about the human psychology from the modern point of view. And in his plays, he dealt with modern psyche, modern man psychology, his aspirations, his ailments, his loneliness, and imperfections, and failure and frustration. These are the things which he has included in his dramas, almost majority of his dramas. Okay, and he wrote 14 plays. They are Manishada, Yayati in 1961, Tughlaq in 1964, Hayavadana 1972, Anju Mallige, Hittina Munja, Nagamandala, Taradanda, Agni Mattu Male, Tippuvina Kanasugulu, Vadakalu Bimba, Maduve album, Flowers, Gandhakar on Tones 2012. So he also wrote autobiography, Arthartha Vayasu, and all his books are published by Monora Grantamale Dharwad. Okay, now, after telling about his various plays, 14 plays, he completed in a various period, I would like to speak about 2 of his plays. First of all, his first play was Yayati, which he wrote in 1961. And this Yayati is an existentialist play, and also it speaks about responsibility, and it gives about. I would like to bring out the elements of contemporariness in this play, mythology. Yayati is the main character in the play, and Yayati was a powerful king of Kuru dynasty, and he married Devayani. You know, Devayani was daughter of Shukracharya, and Devayani brought along with her the daughter of Asura king Vrashaparva, Sharbishta, along with her as a slave. What happened? The Jayati had a craze or obsession with youthfulness and sensuality. He was after sexuality. He had so many queens, so many wives, and against the wishes of Devayani, Jayati has an immoral sexual relation with Sharbishta. And having seen this, Devayani was angry and she told him not to marry Sharbishta because she belongs to Asura and you are a Kshatriya, a Bharata race, you should not marry. But in spite of that, he said, why should not I marry? And that enraged Devayani. Devayani was helpless. She rushed to her father, Shukracharya. Shukracharya was enraged and he cursed Yayati that you should become old, prematurely old. That's the curse given by Shukracharya. And after that, Yayati was a sensual man. He always loved youth, always loved the sexuality. As an old man, he cannot do that. He can't enjoy the pleasures of youthfulness. So he was so in pain, was helpless. But there was a relief for his curse, and he had a son, Puru. That is Jayati's son Puru. He went to Shukracharya. What is the solution? And Shukracharya gave a solution. There is a solution for that. If anybody gives his youth in exchange of his old age, then Yayati can enjoy the youthfulness forever. Forever, he can be happy. So Yayati was happy. He was very much eager to accept the youthfulness of his son. See how selfish he was. He wanted to sacrifice his son for his sexual, sensual, material pleasure. And but the same thing, Karnad has done a very clever thing here. He's created a character, Chitraleka. The character is not there in the original epic. Chitraleka was the wife of Puru. And see, Puru accept the old age of his father. And he readily accepted. But Chitraleka was shocked. He was not willing. He was not willing. And she was so upset by her husband's old age. She said, I will not wait. I will not accept my husband I will not allow him to my bedroom because he has become old. And Yayati was, after sensual pleasure, he told her, he consoled her, he advised her, he showed it her. Those shows not ready. And out of helplessness, Chitraleka commits suicide by taking poison. Poison. And at the end of it, Yayati realizes his horrific mistake and he thinks about himself, I have not done a proper thing. I have shirked my responsibility as the father of my son. Now, he then readily gave back his youthfulness back to Puru and takes his old. The thing is, what cost? At what cost Yayati gave up his youthfulness to his son, transferred his youthfulness to his son at the cost of the beloved Chitraleka, who was just married. They were hardly married. And this happens, to Chitraleka. And the cleverness of Karnad lies in the fact that he skillfully relates the events, the characters, and the circumstances of the ancient mythology to contemporary society. All the ancient mythology stories are referred to the contemporary society. And to conclude, we can say that Karnar views the web of mythology, ancient mythological story. He views the web of ancient mythological story in modern material, social context. Social context. No, it's a modern drama because Yayati represents a modern man. That is, like Yayati, even modern man has extreme fascination for material pleasure. He wants to amass money, he wants to get pleasure, he wants to get sensual earthly pleasures. That's what a modern man is. And sensual pleasure, in his pursuit, in this pursuit of the sensual pleasure, in the pursuit of the worldly pleasure, he forgets spiritual values, moral values. He forgets all these good things which are in life. And Yayati depicts the complex nature of relationship, complex nature of relationship between Yayati, Dharmishta, Devayani on one side, Puru and Chitraleka on the other side. And yes, and this plot of Yayati is taken from Mahabharata, Adi Parva. There's the anecdote of Yayati in Adi Parva in Mahabharata. And it's taken from that. And the major milestones of the play is this. That is, the curse of Shukracharya on Yayati. That's the first major element. The curse of Shukracharya on Yayati. And Puru's acceptance of his father's old age, the exchange of his youth, and Chitraleka's decision to end her life. That's the third stage, end her life, and Yayati's eventual acceptance of old age. He accepts old age as a natural course of things because old age is inevitable. It's inevitable. So this is the four stages where we can see about his play. You know, Devayani was an Aryan, and you must have known about the story of Sharmishta and Devayani's quarrel, where Devayani pushed into a dry well, and Yayati takes her by her right hand, he married her, and he knows very well. But the question is, at that time, Puru asked everybody, is there anybody who can accept the old age of his father? Because he is prepared to give the half of the kingdom. But nobody was ready, only Puru was ready. And you must see how Chitraleka was taken to task by Yayati. He says, you are an educated woman. He tells Chitraleka, wife of Puru, because he wants to enjoy his fullness, Puru, Yayati. So, you are an educated woman and you are trained in warfare, he tells Chitraleka, and must display great deal of self-control. You should show self-control. That's what the advice of Yayati to his daughter-in-law, Chitraleka. And also, you must show the nobility of your kingdom. You belong to the Anga kingdom. That's the noble kingdom. You must behave according to the nobility of your kingdom for the race. And moreover, you are a Bharata queen, the queen of the Bharata race. You have got the dignity, you have got the nobility, and you must sacrifice for the sake of the kingdom. And also says you have taken oath in the marriage that you will not transgress your husband. And moreover, if you are not ready for the decision to make your husband old, as a king, I can order you to obey my order. You obey my order. I can tell you. In spite of all these arguments, this Chitraleka was not ready. He says, okay, since I will not accept this Puru as an old man, I will not allow him to my bedroom unless he comes as a young man. Now, you have taken a yutta, you have taken a yutta, now you must also take the responsibility of Puru. That is, I have a dream that I will become mother of Bharata race. And I also dream that, this Puru is a young man. He is very vigorous and powerful to sow the seed of Bharata's family in my womb. I had all confidence in Puru. Now Puru has lost power. He can't do anything. He's helpless. I cannot accept him. So in this way, ultimately Chitralekha realizes that she understands that if this Yayati is not prepared to give up his youth of her husband, and she takes poison and commits suicide. That's the tragedy. And Sharmishta told him, why don't you accept your old age? Let's go to Vanaprastha. Sharmishta says, I will accompany you. But he was not prepared. But when Chitralekha died, he used up all his detachment to life, realizes foolishness, and yes, and he's transformed, and he looks at the lifeless body of Chitralekha. He is worried and he feels repentant, and a sense of rationality comes in him, and that's the end of the drama where we can find it. And the play similarly deals with myth. It appears to be with myth, but it is at once modern. And I would like to read out what Karnad says about this play, that is Yayati. And he wrote it in his collected plays. Girish Karnad wrote the story of King Yayati that I used occurs in the Mahabharata. King for moral transgression he has committed is cursed to old age in the prime of life. Distraught at losing his youth, he approaches his son, pleading with him to lend him his youth in exchange for his old age. Son agrees to the exchange and accepts the curse, and thus becomes old. Son becomes older than his father. But the old age brings no knowledge. It gives him no knowledge, no self-realization, and not even and only senselessness. What he got, except the old age of his father, was senselessness of a punishment. And actually, he was not a part of the process, but he was punished for no reason, and for an act which he had not even participated. He had not even participated in that. The father is left to face the consequence of shirking of responsibility for his own action. He shirks his responsibility. He has taken responsibility. He has not taken. That's what Karnad said about Dharma. Karnad employs mythical stories to express modernity. And he brings out the pointlessness of modern life. Employs life with all complexities and conflict. Modern life is full of complexity and conflict. Yayati represents the modern man who is self-centered. Modern man is self-centered and obsessed with unreasonable desire. He is self-centered and obsessed with unreasonable desires. Yayati is so much obsessed with sexual satisfaction. He is so much obsessed with sexual satisfaction that he even doesn't have hesitation to accept his son's youth. Doesn't have any hesitation to accept his son's youth. Take away the rightful youth and vitality of his son. However, the desire does not materialize. He desired to become young and accept the youth of his son does not materialize, and he finally yields to circumstances and laws of nature. He accepts old age. He has to accept that the inevitability of the old age. The old is inevitable. Everybody becomes old. He has to accept the inevitability of the old age. In the original Mahabharata myth, he accepts the old age. However, after enjoying the youthfulness for 1,000 years in the original Mahabharata, after enjoying the youthfulness for 1,000 years, for a long period of time, he gives back youthful to his son. However, in Girish Karnat Yayati, he is Karnat Yayati, he accepts it immediately after death of his Chitralekha. He doesn't enjoy his youthfulness at all. He immediately accepts the old age, after death of Chitralekha. Deeply affected by the death of Chitralekha, Yayati recognizes the horror of his own life. He looks at the action that he has taken against the Chitralekha and he shocked, recognizes the horror of his own decision, realizes his moral responsibility. He realizes his moral responsibility. However, in the original myth, Yayati is different. His viewpoint is quite entirely different. He notices the absurdity of human desire. Yayati in the original finds the absurdity of human desire. After having enjoyed for 1,000 years, the desire will not be contented. It will not be over. It goes on increasing. So he found out the meaninglessness of the absurdity of this desire in the original play. So it's and here sometimes it appears that Yayati is the hero, but according to Kurtukoti, a renowned critic, he is not the hero. Yayati is not the hero. On the other hand, Guru is the hero. Guru represents the modern life because he is inactive. He is very dull. He is unlike his forefathers like Yayati or many other brave warriors. He was unlike that. He was very inactive. And why? Because he was in search of his identity. He was in search of his identity, and Puru did not find his real personality in the family tree. Did not find a real self, real identity, real personality in the Vamshuraksha, that is family tree. So he remains apart from his family. He remains alone. He remains separate. And he marries Chitralekha, but the relation with Chitralekha is also not happier. They don't have good relation. Chitralekha and Puru, though they are married anew, they don't have good relations at all. And he can't even openly talk with his wife because he is in his own world. Puru is in his own world and he wants to search his identity, his personality in something else. You must know that this Chitralekha was also not happy with her husband because Puru was not as brave as his predecessor, his forefather. He was very inactive, very inactive, dull, and insipid. And while Chitralekha wanted to find something else, the valor in her husband. In this way, at the end of the play, when he looks at his wife, he talks logically, he talks intellectually. But when his wife dies, he's shocked. And Sharmita also asked him, that is, you want to have become old. What's the fate of your wife, Chitralekha? What's the fate of your wife? At the end of the play, he says, oh, what is the meaning of all this? What is the meaning of all this? At the end, and he becomes frustrated like a modern man. He fails to find out what he is, and only at the death of Chitralekha, his real personality is brought out. And Kurtakodi says, it is because of the imperfections, the weakness in man, that's the cause of tragedy. That is the weakness of Yayati for immortality, the weakness of Devayani for pure love, because Devayani was loving Kacha, and Kacha turned his back, and she was frustrated, and because of the frustration in love with Kacha, she has lost, confidence in life. That is Devayani. So she wants love, and Sharmishta as Asura, he wants humanity, humanness. She's after that, and Puru is after find his self, his real self, not in his royal family, but in a different place. He wants to find his real personality. So every character in this Yayati, they want to go above common man's level. They want to go higher. That's their weakness. They want to get immortality, and Dharmishta wants humanity, and Devayani wants pure love. They all want to go above the common man, common man's level. So that is the main reason for the tragedy, says Kurtakot. So this is what I can say about you know. See, look at what Kurtakot says, a sentence about it. Yayati of Karnat deviates from the original story of Yayati of Adiparva. The play deals with the story of Devayani after her marriage. Here, Sharmishta is not only her slave but also unmarried. But Devayani has so much jealousy of her. So he says about so many things about it, and ultimately says it's a very successful play. Though it was the first play, it has created tremendous effect on the audience. People accepted the play for its novelty, for its dramatic technique, all that. So this is what I can say about Yayati. Then, if the time permits, I'll speak something about Tagalog. Tagalog is a classical play written in 1964. When written from London, Girish Khan wrote it. And Tagalog is 13th scene play. And it tells about, 14th century Turco-Indian ruler Muhammad bin Taghlaq. It's the most historical play as well as commentary on present day India. It's not only historical play, but also, contemporary. This is a commentary on the contemporary politics of India. That is India won freedom in 1847, and this drama was written in 1964. And during those period of 47 to 64, the way Taghlaq rose, the same thing has happened in India. India is going towards him in the path of Tughlaq. That's what is a commentary on Indian politics about Nehruvian era. He perhaps he comments upon that. And the Times of India comments about this drama. The play, the protagonist Taghlaq is portrayed as having great idea, great vision, great vision, but his reign was abject failure. His reign was abject failure. He started his rule. He started his rule with the great ideals of unified India. He wanted to unify, Muslims and Hindus in India, but failed. Ultimately, his kingdom was turned into a chaos. I would like to tell about the gist of the play. Gist of the play. And the play opens. We find Muhammad bin Taghlaq declaring that he is changing the capital of his country from Delhi to Devagiri, Delhi to Daulatabad, which is very far away from Delhi. The reason he used for this, change of capital is that there are majority of the people in, Daulatabad are Hindus, and if all the Muslims of Delhi, the Amirs and Imams of Delhi, they go to Daulatabad, then there will be a unity, understanding between Muslims and Hindus. And secondly, why he changes the capital? Because we can be free from the attacks of the Mongols from the northern side. It's always about the Mongols, attack of Mongols from the northern side. So, but the people are not prepared for that. He is an eccentric man, he changes, and he has got his own ideals, he has got his own vision. But people are not happy with his policy. And he was a secular man. He loved the Hindus, and he took the decision of Hindus. He took them into confidence. And in his kingdom, there was a washerman called as Aziz. Aziz was a very common washerman. But this Aziz was a replica of Tughlaq. Tughlaq declared that anybody can lodge a complaint against me as a king. If I do anything wrong, please lodge a complaint against me. And it so happened that in that area, in the kingdom, there was a Brahmin called Vishnu Prasad. And Vishnu Prasad land was illegally acquired by Tughlaq's officers. And Vishnu Prasad wanted to lodge a complaint. What Aziz the cunning man does it, he goes to Vishnu Prasad and gives some silver coin and takes the land from Vishnu Prasad. And Aziz disguises himself as Vishnu Prasad. He changes it as a pigtail and becomes a Brahmin. And he goes before Tughlaq and gets all the facilities of a Brahmin. He was a Muslim, Aziz, but he disguised himself as a Vishnu Prasad. You see how the policy of the government is abused by the people. How Aziz abuses with all his intrigue or fox-like cunning tricks. He deceives Tughlaq. So that happens. That happens in the Tughlaq's kingdom. Later in the court, he says, "Let us be all be ready to go to Daulatabad." And his second opens, and here he's playing the chess. There, his stepmother enters there. The stepmother, she tells, "Why are you doing so many silly things? The government is on the disarray. You can't rule the kingdom properly. There's anarchy in the government. So take wise decision," he tells. And also she says, "Your approach in the administration is not good." And at this juncture, it is also revealed that Tughlaq has killed his father and his brother for the throne. There is also revealed here. And stepmother knows about it. That Tughlaq has killed his father, murdered his father during the prayer time. Okay. And there was one man who was a close associate of Tughlaq, Ain-ul Mulk. Ain-ul Mulk. And he was given some kingdom by the Tughlaq. And now Ain-ul Mulk is waging a war against Tughlaq. And Ain-ul Mulk has 30,000 soldiers, whereas this Tughlaq has only 3,000 soldiers. How can Tughlaq with 3,000 soldiers face Ain-ul Mulk with 30,000 soldiers? So the problem comes. But Tughlaq managed very cleverly. There was Imam Uddin, the religious head in that kingdom. And Imam Uddin hates Tughlaq. He's a religious man and he's a fanatic and he hates Tughlaq. And he makes speeches in Kanpur against Tughlaq. And there was burning and rooting after his speech. And this, Tughlaq makes a clever plan. He tells Imam Uddin, "Please go to Ain-ul Mulk as a message of peace. Please go to him as a message of peace. We don't want war." What happens, this Imam Uddin was resembling Tughlaq in every part. He was resembling, he was just like Tughlaq in personality. Tughlaq made him wear the king's dress and told him to go and have a peace talk with the Ain-ul. But when this Imam Uddin went wearing the dress of a king, riding on an elephant, this Ain-ul Mulk people thought that he was Tughlaq. And in this way, Imam Uddin was killed by Ain-ul Mulk's soldier. But at the same time, he very cleverly managed to defeat Ain-ul Mulk very cunningly. It is a different matter. Okay. Then. And there's one thing which happened. That is, this Amir sir and Imam sir, they don't like Tughlaq. They don't want that the capital should be put to Daulatabad. So what they did is, They wanted to kill Tughlaq. They want to murder Tughlaq. When? In time of prayer. Once when he was praying, I was doing namaz, all the Amins and all the people, they gathered together. And there was one Mr. Ratan Singh also, who helped to prepare the plot to kill this. What happened? The plan to murder Tughlaq was revealed by the soldier. And all the people who are involved in the killing, in the attempt to kill Tughlaq were caught and they were hanged in the public. Tughlaq ordered them to hang in public. Okay. And uh, he, Tughlaq makes another decision to mint copper and, copper coins, brass coins, equivalent to silver and gold coin. He said that this copper coin and brass coins are as valuable as silver and gold coin. What happened? People began to mint brass coin and copper coin in a large number. They began to exchange the silver coin for the copper coin. Now there was a loss to the treasury of Tughlaq. So in this way, where people are going to Dawlatabad, on the way, people die of hunger, people die of disease, people die of so many things on the way to Dawlatabad. And meanwhile, you know, uh, while going to Dawlatabad, this Tughlaq had a very close, confident associate, called Nazib. Nazib was a political advisor to Tughlaq. And it was said that Nazib was murdered by somebody. And Tughlaq was greatly shocked because a close friend, Nazib, was killed. And a person who controls the entire administration was killed. And he was shocked. And he tried to find who is the murderer. And whomever he suspected, he hanged them. At last, it was known to that Nazib was murdered by his stepmother. And having come to that, his stepmother has killed uh, Nazib. He ordered to stone her to death in the public. He stepped or stoned to death in the public. That's what he did. And all decisions are done out of frustrated mind. In the meanwhile, Tughlaq declares to stop prayer. Don't do prayer at all. But there was another alternative. The Caliph's grandson, called as Ghiyasuddin Abbasid, was arrived. And Tughlaq was waiting for Ghiyasuddin, a descendant of Caliph's family, Caliph's race, because when they come here, it is a kind of a sacred thing. Because that Caliph is a holy man and his descendants are very holy. So he said, when Ghiyasuddin Abbasid arrives here, let us restore prayer. What happens? This Aziz, he meets Ghiyasuddin on the way. And Aziz, a cunning man, an ordinary washerman, he he kills Ghiyasuddin and to wear the dress of Ghiyasuddin and goes to Tughlaq. And Tughlaq, and what happened? This Ghiyasuddin was already killed, and this man goes as a in disguise of this Ghiyasuddin. And Tughlaq is deceived. But at last, somewhere, Tughlaq suspected this Aziz is not real Caliph's grandson. And asked, who are you? Then Aziz tells everything. Dear Lord, I learned every technique from you. Whatever technique I use, I am using. Now, you can't kill me. You can't do anything to because you already declared that, Caliph's grandson is coming. The restoration of prayer. You can't do anything. Okay, he said. With this, by seeing the cleverness of Aziz, Tughlaq is really surprised and he makes him the powerful man in the kingdom. So at the end of the play, out of madness, whatever he does is mad. He goes to sleep, and after maybe he might have gone mad. So that's why he's called as a mad at this one. But Girish Karnad doesn't make him a mad person, makes him an ideal person, a poet, a philosopher, and a man with a visionary, does everything. And about this Tughlaq drama, Goodreads says, it's a Goodreads is a website, says Tughlaq, written by Girish Karnad in 1964, is his best novel play, best loved play, about an idealist 14th century Sultan of Delhi, an idealist 14th century Sultan of Delhi, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and allegory on the Nehruvian era. It is an allegory on the Nehruvian era, which started with ambition, idealism, and ended up in disillusionment. Nehruvian era started with idealism, ambition, and Nehruvian era ended with disillusionment. What Goodreads says. And there is one writer that is Professor Asha Chaudhary, who is the dean of Guwahati University at Guwahati. He says of the play, though Tughlaq is based upon, Tughlaq is based on the life and story of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the most controversial ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Tughlaq is defined as a historical play because the chief protagonist is a character taken from history, and the play documents a series of past events that took place during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Tughlaq can also be considered as a political play as it represents the reign of king and his various moves to unify Hindus and Muslims. That's what that lady, the person says. And that is the reign of king and his various moves to unify Hindus and Muslims and establish a just kingdom in Delhi. Want to establish just kingdom in Delhi. I think with this, I'll come to a conclusion. And I really thank Dr. Girish Bhattachakkal for giving an opportunity to speak on Tughlaq and this Girish Karnad. And I love Girish Karnad for various reasons. And he may be called as intellectual or maybe called intellectual. But whatever that may be, the classical contribution to literature that he has done to Kannada is very, very great. And I salute Karnad. I salute all of you. And I salute all the viewers who have listened to me with all patience. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech on Girish Karnad and his scholarship and his contribution. So this is the last stage of the program, but not the least one. So on behalf of Kwempu Bhasha Bharati and our chairperson of this Pradhikara, I am extending my warm thanks to Uday Kumar Hub for delivering this wonderful speech. And I'm also thankful to all the members of the Pradhikara and the viewers of the this webinar series, and the persons who are directly and indirectly supported us. And there is an announcement that tomorrow Dr. Rajalakshmi NK will speak on Subhalakshmi about her contribution. So please be with us. So thank you one and all. Thank you, sir.